Okay, now I'll go on to the third type of completing the square expression, which will deal with the coefficient of x squared is not 1. As you know, every time before we do completing the square, what we need to do first is actually to check for the coefficient of x squared. As you can see this time, the coefficient of x squared is actually not 1 anymore, it's actually 2. So how should you go about completing it? It can still be done, by the way, please do not give up. So what you need to do is you need to first factorize out the 2 from both the x squared term and the x term, but leave the number alone. So what I mean by that is just factorize out the common factor, or 2, and you get x squared plus 3x. Leave the 1 outside the bracket. At this point of time, you have not started doing completing the square. You are just trying to make the coefficient of x squared 1. So the next step is when you are actually starting to do completing the square. To make things less messy, I actually now use a square bracket. So x squared, as you can see, is basically coefficient 1. So you can now do completing the square. So you open up your curly bracket and put in the x term, and because it's a positive x term, you put in the plus half of the x term, which will be 3 over 2 bracket square, and the number that you put inside the bracket, you minus it out, and you close back the square bracket. Can you please take note that your plus 1 is always outside, and you just simplify the expression, and you will get x plus 1.5 bracket square minus 9 over 4 square bracket plus 1. Please take note that this is not the final form. You need to multiply the 2 inside, and you'll get 2 bracket x plus 1.5 bracket square minus 2 times 9 over 4. Please remember to multiply the 2 in there, plus 1. The 1 is not a factor because the 1 is not actually inside the bracket. And your final answer, when you actually simplify the numbers outside, is actually minus 3.5. And that is the final answer.